It's Josh Retro Dad. We are finally here at the last episode of $100 Challenge. I want to start off by saying thank you so much to anyone who's watched a single episode of the entire series. I truly am grateful. So if you're new to the $100 Challenge, I'll quickly sum it up. The $100 Challenge is where I took $100, see if I can make that grow to $20,000 of extra video games for my collection. It started May 31st and ended the 29th of September, the last day of the Portland Retro Gaming Expo. Now, originally it was supposed to end actually the 21st, but I decided to extend it to a week because I felt it was appropriate to end at the Portland Retro Gaming Expo instead. We got a lot to discuss. We'll dive into the $100 Challenge, the final episode, after this. Chapter 1: How the series got started. I have made countless videos starring retro gaming content on this channel for over 10 years. I was getting ready to step back from doing collecting content and video game related videos. I wanted to focus more on paranormal and narrative filmmaking. But hey, I still love video games, especially retro. I wasn't walking away from the content 100%. I was just planning on doing a different approach to them, more simple videos, with less focus on collecting and maybe video game prices, just more about games I loved and just talking in general. I still had a few Josh Retro Dad videos planned about gaming. Some are still going to be worked on, like the best of the entire show from 2013 to present, Sega Saturn Adventure 3. I have a couple games I bought just for that video, a game room tour, and a few others. One idea was to do a $100 challenge like I did before in this channel, way back in the day when I did a $50 challenge and a $100 challenge. So I was kind of playing with that idea, taking $100 and see how many games I could buy. Times have changed and the dollar does not stretch as far as it did back in 2015-2017. A week or so later, I was getting ready to start doing that $100 challenge video, and one day I randomly came across Chase at the Right Price and a few other game collecting YouTubers. What was odd, you can even say a strange occurrence, I haven't been watching much gaming content on YouTube at the time. It got me wondering if I could do something similar, but not being a reseller. I'm a gamer and collector second. Sometimes I do switch priorities. I think a lot of us in this hobby do that. Sometimes we're collectors first and gamers second, or switch it around. Mostly I'm a gamer first. Now I was collecting constantly at this time. I was growing the NES again. I was already getting things I once had or always wanted. The Arkanoid Big Box CIB with controller, for example, or the entire Aladdin Deck Enhancer collection. Something I never had a set of, but had like half the set. Around this time period, I was already regrowing the NES collection in the form of boxes or CIB. In 2022, early 2023, I was only 5 away from a complete licensed set for the NES. Only 5 games were missing. Okay, that sets up the stage. It was sort of like a perfect storm. Ideas, collecting, and seeing a video that acted like a catalyst. I reshaped my original idea of the $100 challenge, and now it's going to become like a limited series. Time length would be 3 months, with the main goal of adding $20,000 of video games to my collection. I wanted to mix in some gambling terms like jackpots that you see on some slot machines. Mini was $5,000, the minor was $10,000, the major was $15,000, and the ultimate goal was that grand. I wasn't even sure if this idea would work. It might not be successful. It could fail reaching that grand prize. There's a chance I might not make this happen, but at least I could get some kind of jackpot. I asked the question, can everyday gamer or collector do what these other guys on YouTube show in their videos? What does it take? Can I think like a seller, not a collector? Can I make my collection grow with $20,000 or just adding $100, starting with that? Those are the main questions I asked through this series. And then on May 31st, I went out there and did the very first video. Second video, really. First video was more like setting up everything, but the first video actually going out. So that was kind of how it started. Just a combo of stuff. Changed my idea. I'm a collector, I'm a gamer, I'm a filmmaker, but I'm not a reseller. I've sold, but I'm not a reseller. I'm a collector. I'm a gamer. Can I get my mind out of that, reshape it more like a business, and try to spend my own money? Take $100 and make it grow to $20,000? Is that possible? Chapter 2, what happened during the $100 challenge? What a lot of these collecting shows don't tell you, a lot of the finds have to deal with just dumb luck. It's like an RPG. You need not just strength, endurance, and intelligence, you need to have luck. You need to have luck. The first day of the challenge, May 31st, I had no idea what was going to happen. I was hoping luck would be on my side, but the reality of getting nothing was on the table. My original plan was to show everything, the duds and the trophies. Episode 9, Into the Garage Sale Band, is an episode where not a lot is found. A little bit. It has a little villain in it, the Garage Sale Bandit, but really there's not a lot shown. Unlike episode 11, the $450 lot showed a lot of pickups. Originally, I was thinking I'd produce 21 or so episodes. Including this episode you're watching right now, I actually produced 2 less than I originally thought. I released 19 episodes of the $100 challenge. There were several cut episodes. I'll get to that segment later. The first episode is like a world building episode. It sets up the rules and expectations. The last collecting episode is episode 18, the Portland Retro Gaming Expo. It was officially the last episode go out there hunting and showing what I picked up. In between them was various episodes. Some had a little bit more, and some of them just really demonstrate what $100 challenge is all about. Like the poster show. That was all about luck. Rose City Con episode 17 acted kind of like, hey, this is the event, and here are the pickups. It had a story of trying to find the games, which is very true. Only found a couple games because I was waiting for Portland Retro Gaming Expo, but it kind of showed a little bit of the event and games. Several episodes, there was actually garage sales. I tried my best to show my sales and everything, but as time went on, it was really hard to do. The series was set up for a 3-month journey, but I actually lost about a month due to several family trips and other events. So production was stalled. That's one reason the release schedule was off. I underestimated time. I even thought about doing some in-between episodes, which I did do. I'll talk about that in the cut episodes too. But during the challenge, I got a lot of games. I grew the collection, and you got to see it starting May 31st and onwards as the collection started growing. And I did my best to stick to my rules. Chapter 3, the stuff I still have from the $100 challenge and the best and weirdest items I got. I got a lot during the challenge, and some things you did not see, and other things you did. When I got that big box of Super Nintendo games, I had a mission to fill those boxes with cards. And I did, except this is the only box that remains empty still. Now, I have some extras that are just loose boxes, but the ones I need to fill for the collection, this is the only one. I could not find Might and Magic anywhere, including the Portland Retro Gaming Expo. I came across a lot of video games and other pop culture stuff during this $100 challenge adventure. Now here is a segment that was cut from the Portland Retro Gaming Expo video. I got something a couple days before the event. I bought some games from my friend. I wanted to get Conker's Bad Fur Day again. I got it from my friend. Doom 64. And one other game I'll talk about that was significant because it was also on my list was Banjo-Kazooie. Picked up those 3 games just mere days before the Portland Retro Gaming Expo. Because those were on my list for the Portland Retro Gaming Expo, I feel like I had to discuss those 3 N64 games. But a lot of this challenge was getting Super Nintendo games, and here's a couple I didn't show either. The game I got during the challenge, I just didn't show it. It's based on the show. It's just box, poster, and cart, but it's Sequest, and I got this during the challenge as well. One thing I did not show during the video series, I got Doom CIB at Double Jump Games. A game I had a long time ago when I first got my bundle of Super Nintendo games. A game I've had a couple times, but CIB, lesser than unlikely. I made the joke before, it's unlikely this is any good. It has some charm to it. It's a quirky game. Besides the Super Nintendo, like this one I also didn't show, I picked up during the challenge, I got a lot of comics. So some of the best finds were the Earthbound poster from the poster show. The second best find of the challenge, in my opinion, is the Zelda watch. The Zelda watch that I got from Watch What I Find. The $450 lot. Chrono Trigger. Zero, the Kazakazi Squirrel, and some honorable mentions. Silent Hill 4 display, Wii games, a few other N64 stuff. This didn't come till way later, but this is something else I got during the challenge. I talked about, I think in one episode, about waiting for some more game displays. But here's one. It's Kirby Return to Dreamland Deluxe and Paper Mario. The craziest thing I found at the garage sales I went to, starting May 31st. The craziest thing, I got it for $1. And it works. I'll buy that for $1. There are some things I still have that I got during the $100 challenge I have not sold. I still have that R.L. Stine Garbage Pail Kids book that I found at Goodwill. I never ended up trying to sell it after all. So not everything was sold during the $100 challenge, and some things I sold were not shown during the series either. This is one of the only games I've got that's retro since the $100 challenge ended at Portland Retro Gaming Expo. Got this sometime in October. It's a game I looked for a while, even at the Portland Retro Gaming Expo, couldn't find it. It's one I had as a teenager. I played through it. Covert Ops Nuclear Dawn. Besides that PS1 title, I did. Finally got Mr. Do USA for the Game Boy. That's the only retro games I bought since the $100 challenge ended. Hold on, there's an update, one last thing. I actually got one more thing the day before New Year's Eve. I got this, the Earthbound Guide. It does not have the scratch and smell sniffies. You can always do an upgrade later that has a scratch and sniff snellies. I got it for a decent price. I wanted to get it complete in the box Earthbound over the summer. That did not happen. I watched one box for a long time and it was sold. But I ended up getting this guide, which was really cool. So technically, this is the last retro item I got before the new year, and actually the last retro item I got since the $100 challenge ended. Chapter 4. Let's look at a few cut episodes and why they were cut. It happens all the time with your favorite movies and TV shows. It even happens in written works. Moments, characters, and even complete side stories sometimes are removed from the finished product. Definitely happened during this series. Look, it's a later segment. Let's get back to the cut episode topic. I did cut a lot of episodes. Some of these could be considered duds, where nothing really was found. The cut episode Skunkaroonie is a perfect example. I didn't feel like editing and going through the motions on more of those ones. More exciting and more meaty episodes needed my focus over those. Then there were other filming days where I had video game finds or something interesting occurred. Just time wasn't in the cards and I just had to keep moving on. So much was happening behind the scenes, such as dealing with sales, family time, work, making additional episodes, and of course, editing. I might have released 19 episodes, including the one you're watching now, but I recorded about 30, maybe a little more. Most of the production took place in June and July. I sprinkled a few of those deleted scenes here and there in other episodes. Episode 15, The Big Box 2, had multiple sequences of different days of the $100 challenge. The segment that showcased the Konami laser scope and the Silent Hill 4 gaming poster was at one time its own episode. The episode was called A Dream Reality and History Repeating. It featured garage sales, finds, and more pickups besides that laser scope and that poster. Unfortunately, I had to cut it because of time. I even worked on a few episodes, almost completing them or completing them and just leaving them on the cutting room floor. Some were due to timing reasons and needed to move on with the story of the challenge. One was for another reason. The original episode 15 wasn't the one that was released. There was another episode 15 that was removed from the release schedule, and it was called Godzilla Comics and the Terrible Bad Incident. A small fraction of the episode was shown in Rose City Con episode 17. Talk about nerd shit. This is nerd shit right here. I got a bunch of comics and a few games, but the experience of getting them was drama-filled and a bit confusing. I didn't want to spoil the series with his negativity, so I cut it. I think that's all I really need to explain why certain things weren't shown or shown later in small pieces. And that's something about me. I have a lot of episodes I have previously done for this channel that some of them are completely done. I just won't release them. I did episodes in between where they were just about collecting or talk about video games. I had to cut them because of time. I never went back to the reviewing a few stuff like I was going to. I even looked at it once, but when I realized I was spending too much time on other projects, I had to move on. The final numbers. What jackpot did I get? I got the mini award on July 8th, 2024. Well, I didn't get the grand. Didn't get it. Did I get the major? Almost. But I did get the minor. The grand total, a little over 12,000. There are games I have not calculated in here, so it could be a little bit more. I did not get the major, but I got at least the minor. So over $10,000 in a matter of 3 months. With losing a month, so 2 months, about $5,000 a month, my collection grew. Unfortunately, I didn't get the grand, but I did get the minor. Chapter 6. What did I learn when I do it again?
The $100 challenge is making me insane.
It was true. For a while, the $100 challenge took over my life. Towards the end of July, I stopped letting that happen. Would I do this again? No, not solo. I'm happy I did it. It was a wild experience. I got some crazy stuff, found some interesting stuff, increased the video game collection, and I'm hoping you guys enjoyed the episodes for the last couple months. It was a limited series for a reason. Not something I could do over and over again. It burned me out. Doing this challenge actually did the opposite effect, where I was so done with collecting at this point. I honestly didn't like being on my phone all the time, looking for deals. I would have missed out on those posters. I would have missed out on that $450 lot if I was not continuously on my phone. I had to be for this challenge. I stopped selling on eBay around September too. I was more gearing up for the big events like the Portland Retro Gaming Expo. And I was actually banking on a better sale at the auction. I am happy that I did get to keep one of them. I prefer the one that was sold. This one used to have like a coupon here, and I've looked for the coupon to put it in there. No one really has that either. They're not very common. These are on the rarer side, but I'm happy to have this one. Shows 4 PlayStation 1 games and have Cloudbuster Sword in the middle. Over the course of doing this series, I learned it has to do with luck. Mostly. Not saying skills isn't important. Capital is too. Let's face it, you gotta have some funds in order to accomplish some kind of game buying or collecting. That's why you see some people on YouTube or other platforms able to acquire massive lots. They have deeper pockets. When it comes to going out there and yard selling, it has the luck of the draw. What's being sold at the sale determines the outcome. The individual too. I'm looking for games or something about pop culture, but someone else might be looking for tools or a rare porcelain plate. Something I'm not knowledgeable about. Knowing what to look for is an important skill to have. Basic collecting 101. You gotta question some of these YouTubers if their episodes are not manipulated. I'm not saying they are. I'm not saying that. Mine were 100% authentic. Look at the Earthbound poster, look at the Zelda watch. That was legitimately found. And here's the thing too, just kind of on a side note, I'm a little surprised my Earthbound poster didn't do better, my episode, because that was a crazy find. Could you imagine if one of these other bigger YouTubers showed that? It would have been nuts. I got some great games out of this challenge, don't get me wrong. And I'm happy to do it. I really am happy. It's just one of those things where I don't think I would do it again unless there was a competition with someone else. Like a couple of us got together and we did a contest. Like, okay, you do 2 episodes, you do 2 episodes, you do 2 episodes, and see, what happens during like a 2-month period, what you could find, the best stuff you could find. That'd be interesting. Throughout this journey, I started realizing something about myself. And I'm a collector and gamer first, or gamer first, collector second, vice versa. Couldn't get my mindset out of it. I will admit, I stuck mostly to thinking as a collector. Towards the end of this series, you didn't see these in these videos, but I sold massive lots together really cheaply to make them move. I mean, we're talking about slicing prices down to 50% higher even. So I sold a lot of bundles together in big lots. I was cutting deals not only to make the space, but I was also cutting deals as a mind of a collector. The final. After so many months, we come to the end. A little bit of sneak peek behind the scenes, and I got a lot of games, and now I gotta figure out what I'm gonna do with some of them. So there's a high possibility starting next year, I'll be liquidating some of these games, including Romance of 3 Kingdoms 2 and Uncharted Waters. Don't need them. So realistically, I will be probably trimming down a quarter of what I got for the $1 challenge. Need to make room for games I want to get, and some games I just don't need. I'm just not going to play them. Before we end this video, here's something I think is kind of interesting that I say during one of my cut episodes. You always get a glimpse of a little person's life, a little bit of their personality by what they have. For that brief moment, when you walk into someone's yard, you look at their stuff, you get a glimpse a little bit into their soul, what they're about. And I always found that very interesting. Another our challenge, it's finally over. Have fun, go game, see you guys later on my next video. I want to say thank you again so much for watching this episode. And I've said it a couple times, I really do mean it. I know this episode was a little long. It was the finale, a lot to talk about. As I'm talking right now, you'll see some things I cut out of the video as well, just for time reasons. It was a fun adventure, something I'm glad I did. It had to end, and it's time to move on and go to the next videos. So just stay tuned. Everyone have a great day, and hope you have a great year.